Hey, blessings, grateful family. Welcome in. Welcome back to the Grateful God podcast. Have you ever heard yourself say or heard somebody else say, man, I will trust you with my life. I trust you with my life. Have those words ever popped up in your mind, have come out your mouth? You've heard them be spoken by somebody else, right? And usually when we say these things or when we hear these things, it's from one human to another human, which is not always something that's, I would say, not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily a good thing as well, right? Because we, as human beings, we want to be able to trust one another, right? But ultimately, when it comes down to it, we want to be able to trust Jehovah, right? We want to be able to say that I trust my life with Jehovah, right? And that's important for us to be able to do. And today, that's why I'll be looking at how trust is vital for a happy life. Not only for a happy life, but how our trust in Jehovah is necessary, right? Our trust in Jehovah is prominent. So got the daily verse coming here, and then I will be getting into the the topic of trusting in Jehovah and how when we trust in Jehovah, it allows it allows happiness to be a part of our life. We're able to find that happiness in our life. Daily verse for the day of November 18th, 2025, derives from the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 5, and it states as follows: made us alive together with the Christ, even when we were dead in trespasses. By undeserved kindness, you have been saved. We've been saved. We've been saved. And again, that's from the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 5. So again, trust in Jehovah is vital for our happiness, right? Trust is vital for a happy life. So a person who repeatedly experiences unpleasant things in their life needs to be more careful in the things that we give into, right? If we keep doing the same thing and we're getting the same results, right? But we keep doing it, we should evaluate ourselves, right? So that goes in a way with one's trust, right? Similarly, the ones who has had their trust betrayed, it's painful, right? When we trust in someone and we rely on this person to do the right by us or do the right thing, and it doesn't go that ways, it you know it takes away the ability to trust individuals, right? Repeated betrayal of trust makes us think carefully about our choice of associations, right? In that sense, we draw away from people, right? We are less open to making friends, communicating with people, things of that nature. But withdrawing from people entirely as to avoid the risk of being let down is not the solution, right? Because being mistrustful of others rob us of our own happiness, right? For us to be able to lead a contented life, we need relationships based on mutual trust. So, who should we trust overall? No doubt about it, than humans is Jehovah, right? We should trust in Jehovah with all our heart. As it was brought out in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, it says, trust in Jehovah with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. And again, it's from the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5. So Jehovah has repeatedly encouraged us to put our trust in him, right? So why can we put our trust in God? Well, first off, right, Jehovah God is holy, right? Isaiah the prophet wrote in the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 3, that, and one called to the other, holy, holy is Jehovah of armies. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Right. So now that's just one point. We know that Jehovah God is holy. Right. Another way that we can be able to put our trust in God is because of his ability and desire to support those who serve him, right? So knowing that not only does Jehovah possess the most Holy Spirit, right? Not only is his holiness pure, right? Not only can he not do wrong and he's absolutely reliable, he's incorruptible, right? He can't be manipulated by other humans and things of that nature. Well, he's there. He has the ability to support us, right? His supreme power enables him to act on our justice, and he gives us wisdom. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8 says, "Whoever does not love has not come to know God, because God is love." So Jehovah, right? Jehovah has put it in place for not only for us to be able to find trust in him, but also know where he stands on knowing why we can trust him, right? Because he loves us, right? Because he originates with love. And usually when we trust other humans, some type of factor of trust falls in with love, right? We have love for the individual, right? We're in love with the individual, so forth and so on, right? Most broken hearts come from uh giving your trust to somebody because you love them and your heart was broken. Right. Well, Jehovah doesn't do that. Right. Jehovah doesn't lead us on and guide us and then turn around and just, forsakes us, leave us in a dry. Right. He doesn't do that. So trust to Jehovah is vital. Right. So why is trusting Jehovah and being happy? What did that come together? Right. So another sound reason for trusting Jehovah is that he understands us better than anyone else does. Right. A huge point, right? Humans, we barely know ourselves well. So how much better could another human know you than you even know yourself? But Jehovah knows all of us better than we know ourselves. He knows that each human has a basic need for a secure, lasting, and trusting relationship. And he knows how the only individual we can find to have a secure, lasting, and trusting relationship is with him, is with our creator. So the book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 4 pointed out, "Happy is the man who trusts in Jehovah and who does not look to the defiant or to those who are false." Right? Looking towards Jehovah gives us true happiness. Trusting in Jehovah 100% gives us true happiness. Right? Are you enjoying today's episode? This episode of the Grateful Gab podcast is proudly sponsored by Sugarcane Sweet Shop. At Sugarcane Sweet Shop, every dessert is made with love, creativity, and a sprinkle of sweetness. From the signature cookies and cupcakes to custom cakes for every occasion, Sugarcane is available to make your moments a little more special. Follow them on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Sugarcane Sweet Shop to see what's fresh from the oven. And don't forget to treat yourself today. People, mankind, are individuals who you can find a batch of individuals you can trust and individuals who are untrustworthy, right? It's kind of hard to discern sometimes, but with Jehovah's teachings, with Jehovah's thinking, we're able to find out people who we can trust, right? Uh, the book of Psalm, chapter 146, verse 3, brought out a great point of things we see now of people who we cannot trust. It says, "Do not put your trust in nobles, nor in the son of earthly man, to whom no salvation belongs." Right? And that's in the book of Psalm, chapter 146, verse 3. So this inspired statement helps us to acknowledge that many humans don't deserve our confidence, don't deserve our trust. Right? We see it here in America. Right? We just had a government shutdown. People go and vote and put their trust in this person. Oh, this person's going to do the right thing. This person's going to do the right thing. But lo and behold, it doesn't come down to just one person being able to say, "Oh, if you elect me, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for you." Right? Guaranteed. It's not that simple. But when Jehovah says something, he's going to do it. He don't need anybody else's permission. He's what he says is going to be done is going to be done, and we can trust that what he says and what he promises is going to be fulfilled. So we can make sure our confidence in him is 100% because he's not. He doesn't have to rely on anybody else. He doesn't have to rely on other nobles. right? As the scriptures brought out in Psalms 146, trusting in those nobles, right? So again, even those who are held in high esteem of this world don't automatically deserve our trust, right? Their guidance is also fable, and trust placed in such nobles can quickly turn into disappointment, as I just pointed out, right? All over the world, people are put in these positions, not taking care of their citizens, right? So many different things are 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 happening and being, you know, the proof is in the pudding, in a sense. The proof is in the pudding. So, but of course, this should not make us distrust everyone, right? However, we clearly need to be selective when we choose those in whom we place our trust. So, what type of criteria should we use to see how to see who we should put our trust in, right? Well, in the ancient Israelite days, right, when it became necessary to appoint individuals, judges, different individuals of that nature, after Moses, right? And look who chose Moses, right? Look who chose these individuals to be leaders for their for the nations during that time. It was Jehovah, right? Jehovah God directly nominated these guys. He promoted these individuals to be leaders of the Israelites during those times. Well, in Moses' days, right, Moses was advised to select out of all the people capable men, fearing God, trustworthy men, hating unjust profit. Right. So, and that's from the book of Exodus, chapter 18, verse 21. It says, but you should select from the people capable men, fearing God, trustworthy men, hating dishonest profit, and appoint those over them as chiefs over thousands, chiefs over hundreds, chiefs over fifties, and chiefs over tens. Right. So there were 4 points there that we should look at in individuals to put our trust in them in some form, right? The first one, right? Individuals who are able to get things done when necessary, right? Another key point, individuals fearing Jehovah, right? Understanding that we know that we have someone to answer to, right? Not saying that, oh, we're not here to help the humans and answer them, but ultimately we have the Almighty Creator to answer to when it's all said and done, because He knows who we are on the inside and out. He knows what we're gonna do, who we're gonna be, and what makeup we have, right? And again, trustworthy men, right? That's the third point. Having individuals who have constantly displayed acts of trustworthiness, right? Maybe you tell them a secret. The secret never been out, right? Maybe you've asked them to help you out, and it's been something very important, and you really needed them, and they showed up, and these traits are constantly, you know, they're constantly being fulfilled, right? These are things that they constantly do. It's not something that, well, he said he was gonna do this, but something else came up, and whatever it is, he or she is constantly able to stand on what they spoke about or what they said they would do, right? Being able to be trustworthy individuals. And fourthly, we want to make sure that these individuals are individuals hating unjust profit, right? They're not in a position to they don't have that greediness. They're not looking to uh have gain for themselves, right? They're thinking about other individuals, right? They're not looking to just see how they can get over with somebody or those type of things, right? So very important pieces and points and attributes that were looked upon in the Israelite days are still great points for us to be able to look at to see in whom we can be able to put our trust in, of the human imperfect factor besides Jehovah, right? So, again, these individuals, they showed certain godly qualities before being appointed to positions of trust, and that's how it is in the organization for the elders, right? Those elders show those qualities of those godly qualities before being appointed to positions of trust, right? So again, we have to have a healthy reverence for the Creator and fear for Him to not displease Him, right? So as we understand trusting in Jehovah, right? Trusting in Jehovah, right, is vital for a happy life. We have to understand that we have to trust in Him with our whole heart, trust in Him and trust in Jehovah and be happy. Find out who we can trust besides Jehovah, and ultimately, when it's all said and done, do not be put off by disappointment. Right? Again, we're imperfect humans. People are going to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. Right? But do not be put off by occasional disappointment. Right? So when we decide whom we can trust, patience comes with that. Right? Because trust is earned. Right? Trust is earned. Right? We want to be able to give respect, receive respect, but we have to trust somebody. It's earned over a period of time, as I pointed out earlier. If we see these patterns of trustworthy acts, trustworthy deeds, that's how we know. Okay, well, this person is trustworthy, and so forth and so on. Right? So we might observe a person's conduct over a period of time. Right? We might know that, um, if an individual borrowed something, he brought it back. He said he'll bring it back. Right? If he bring it back in the same manner I gave it. Right? It's so many things that we can look for uh in the individual, and don't expect perfection out of them, but expect that, okay, they have a standard that I'm relying on them to uphold. If they don't sometimes, it's okay, right? Don't write them off, but we can understand that, again, they're imperfect. We're not looking to trust them 100,000%, 1,000,000% like we're trusting Jehovah, but we have a form of trust and a respect and mutual understanding between an individual and myself, or whoever it may be, right? And then ultimately, right, we want to be able to look on the outside. We want to be able to look on the inside, right? I want to be able to trust people, but am I trustworthy, right? Am I a trustworthy person? What type of standards do I have of being a trustworthy individual, as being looked upon as somebody who somebody may trust, right? Am I giving the things that I'm expecting people to do for me, if I can trust them, right? Do I have those godly qualities that give off trusting, me being a trusting person, right? It's important for us, right? Because a person who is trustworthy consistently speaks the truth. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25 says, "Therefore, now that you have put away deceit, each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, because we are members belonging to one another," right? An individual makes a commitment, sticks to this commitment, right? The trustworthy individual does all in his power to keep his word. Matthew chapter 5, verse 37 says, "Just let your word yes mean yes, your no, no, for what goes beyond these is from the wicked one." Right? So have good intentions to follow through on what you said. Right. And if something comes up and you can't do it that time, don't just shy away from not doing it at all. Right. Be able to say, well, you know, something came up, I wasn't able to do it then. If so forth is available, can I do it another time? Or whatever it may be. Or, I mean, just whatever the situation is, always do it with the intent and the commitment of following through whatever you promised. Right? A reliable person, right? A trustworthy person, right? It's faithful, right? To his husband or wife, right? Someone who is worthy of trust works hard to earn a living for himself and his family, right? Doesn't seek to get easy money. Again, that honest gain, right? That unjust profit quality, right? We're not looking to get over on people. We look to do the things the right way, right? As First Timothy chapter 5, verse 8 points out, certainly if anyone does not provide for those who are his own, especially for those who are members of his household, he has disowned the faith and is worse than a person without faith. So how can we trust that an individual is fearing of Jehovah if he doesn't even take care of his family, right? So it's just little things like that we have to look into, of how we can't continue to give mankind our trust just right off the bat, right? But we can always trust in Jehovah off the bat. But it's just ways of how we need to conduct ourselves in accordance to knowing that, all right, Jehovah, he deserves our trust wholeheartedly, right? And now we get to understand, how can we discern and decide who else deserves our trust, right? How are we as parents? Are we doing the right thing for our children to trust us, right? How am I as a husband to make sure I'm doing the right thing for my wife to trust me? Vice versa, how is a wife doing the right things for her husband to be able to trust her, whatever it may be, right? Am I leading? Am I being my position in the organization, right? Am I doing it to the best of my ability So my brothers and sisters to the right and the left of me can trust that when I get an assignment, it's going to be fulfilled to the standard of what Jehovah sees as right. All those type of things. So there's so many things for us to think about, but ultimately at the end of the day, trusting in Jehovah gives us happiness, right? It's vital for us to know and trust Jehovah so that we may have a successful, fulfilled life. Because, again, as we stated, right, before I've stated here, Satan is a lie, right? Satan is the creator of the lie, and Jehovah is the truth. So we must trust Jehovah and reject Satan, right? So y'all be blessed. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, peace.